Hey guys, welcome to Growing Glow Zanzi. This is Nay, and I'm sitting here with my beautiful co-host
Shodion.
and we're focusing a bit on women. It is Women's Month. We are in the middle of August, and this month we're focusing on all things women. So today we're going to chat a bit about a day in the life of a woman. Now, this conversation can go in all directions, but specifically we're tuning it down to all the many hats women wear as individuals. You could be a mom, you could be a student, you could be a caretaker, putting the needs of others ahead of or in front of yourself, right? And so, today I specifically want to refer to us as moms and wives, and then at the same time, looking at individuals all around the world that may not be in a position in being a mom or not married yet, but you still have so many things going on whilst managing other things mentally. Because I find myself sometimes you might find you're busy preparing lunch or you're busy taking care of the household, but your mind is in so many places that you kind of have to juggle it all internally and externally. And what is your take on that specific role, being a woman and having to manage so many things all at once?
It does become overwhelming. If I think about the different versions of myself,
Yes.
From being a young girl to now being a mom and a wife, and how those hats had to change consistently, from being a person that was focusing on her own dreams, her own ambitions, her own goals, to now thinking about the family and what we need to achieve as a family.
True.
So it's been a journey, sometimes, as I said, very overwhelming. But I think taking things one step at a time. And if I think about the hats that I wear, I mean, obviously I'm wearing a hat of a mom, I'm wearing a hat of a wife, a daughter, a granddaughter, a cousin, right? I also wear the hat of the mommy that has to work.
Yes.
Right? The mommy that has to do school runs.
True.
Okay? And then there's that you have to be a chef at home. You have to do cooking. You have to do cleaning. So there's so many different things that you have to do throughout the day. In fact, I mentioned to my husband the other day, I said, all you have to do every single day is go to work, come back. Yes, he does work additionally, but it's like that's all he has to do. And then yes, there are the kids, but it's not as dynamic. And I'm not saying it's not an awesome day, I'm saying it's just not as dynamic. And I think me saying that got him to become a little bit more involved, which really helped me so much.
Yes.
And I was actually thinking, because I made a post saying, as a woman, I didn't understand why we made this big fuss about Women's Day. And it's only once you understand the many hats a woman has to wear and the many roles she has to play throughout the day, that's when you realize why we have Women's Day. And of course, I mean, there was obviously a struggle. If we go back to the history of how women were treated, and I understand that.
The whole
yes, I understand that.
Yes.
But I think more importantly, it's for me now as a woman, it's understanding that, I have this. It's like a mountain of things I have to do every single day, and I have to push through those, and somehow still have a smile on my face, right?
Yeah.
But that's just me. How does this impact you?
On many occasions you would be going through something, and it might not be something that could have happened, in your home, or there's just so many things that you find yourself doing, and you kind of just need a bit of a breather or a break. I still till this very day find a superwoman that says it's not overwhelming. I do know that there's a lot of women that's not open to speak about it because they grew up that way, and it's like this is what a woman needs to do. But I quite like the fact that you mentioned that sometimes when things get overwhelming as an individual, as a woman, it's important to speak about it to your partner, to your spouse, your boyfriend, if you are, in a relationship, or the person that you can openly speak to and offload what exactly is it that you're feeling, because it does help to an extent, so that you guys can meet each other halfway. In my case as well, I'm very open with my husband. I do speak to him openly about the way I feel. If I'm having a tough day, again, to me it's also very new to be a mom, to be so many things all at once. And I think I mentioned it in our very first podcast when we just launched in our conversation about marriage. You find yourself being a daughter first, and a sister, and a cousin, you know, and a granddaughter, and then you find yourself now moving into a new phase of your life where you become a wife, and you now also need to learn what it is to be a wife. And I don't believe any relationship is the same. We're dealing with two different individuals that meet each other, and so you always find your own way to work through things. You always find your own way to do things. And so as an individual, I think managing all of, you know, household stuff and simple things, like I had a conversation with my husband now the other day, that simple things a woman would think about that a man generally will not think about, is dentist appointments, making sure the kids' bags are packed, making sure my son has, you know, he has all his clothing in order, packed for the week or whatever. You know, you would normally look into the cabinets and be like, oh, I need to repack this, I need to reorganize this. And that's generally things men won't look at. Simple things like also you need to do his washing. They know that they need clean clothes, but it's normally mom that will initiate that, oh, I need to get my son's, or I need to get the kids' clothes going, or whatever the case might be. And so these are all the things that I think when I refer to a day in the life of a woman show, I'm referring to, as an individual, as a woman, as a student, as a caretaker, you might find yourself being at work all day. Once you get home, you still need to play the role of a woman, because now you need to cook dinner, you need to prepare. If you're taking care of someone, you need to prepare for that person. Like myself, get home, cook, do what I need to do. So it's really, sometimes it can get overwhelming, like you've mentioned, but I think you just need to find that within your day, your week, in order to recoup and gather yourself again, because I think it can take a toll on women as individual. And that's why women need to be celebrated, because believe you me, we are a powerhouse of great things. Like I always say to myself, I'm amazing, I'm beautiful, and I can do this. So yeah,
I think that point leads me to confidence.
yes,
And I find that the best confidence come when you realize that you are in control of your life,
Yeah.
and how things pan out.
Yes.
You know? And if I look at my confidence levels when I just started as a mom, it wasn't as it is right now.
True.
After
Yeah.
8 years of being a mom. And it's like you said, it takes time. We grow into our roles, right? And once we've adapted to that and we move into the next version of ourselves, it's a magical thing where you realize that, oh my gosh, like I've conquered this.
yeah, true.
I come home from work, I get to cook.
Absolutely amazing.
Yes, I get to cook. I get to nurture, because that's what we are. We are nurturers, right? I get to nurture. I get to spend time with my husband. I get to chat to him. I get to do the dishes, you know. Hopefully he's doing the dishes. But I think the most important thing about being a woman is understanding that you are not a man, right? And so the things that we go through, because remember, I mean, in 1 month we go through a lot.
Yeah.
Because I know there's weeks where I am living my best life,
And there's weeks where you actually,
and then
like,
there's
what the
just
hell is
weeks
happening?
like, what a helly, what a helly on, you know, and you're like, I can't handle this. And there's times where you just short circuit, and it's everything is annoying you and it's irritating you. And I think navigating your feelings as well as navigating life as a whole, because let's be honest, women say, and people could come for me for this, because I love working. So I'm a corporate girly. I love making my own money. And I love if I can make my own sales on the side, you know, I would do it, right?
Yes.
So I wanna be able to contribute. But if we're gonna be honest, if you're gonna be a nurturer and a wife, it takes a lot to still add on the work factor
To your plate. True.
It really does. And even if we don't want to admit it, that's a fact. You know, it takes away from that nurture side of you.
Yeah.
And I think that's also why we get irritated and we become a certain
Especially when you
way.
have deadlines, I think. And
Right?
it kind of contributes to the overwhelming state that you might find yourself in, because you might find it can be even simple things like content creation.
Right.
I shouldn't say simple things like content creation, because content creation has really become such a phenomenal industry.
Yes.
And so you might find that you have tight deadlines, maybe you're busy dealing with whatever it takes to do that specific thing. And then you still need to mother, you still need to be the wife in the household or whatever it might be. And so simple things can really, really tick you off.
How does this impact you now that you're a mom and you're a wife? How does it make you view your mom? You know, like understanding,
I just
especially
always ask myself, how did she do it?